beautiful cloud. And we are right on the dot. Excelente. Welcome in. Austria. Okay, I love it. Austria's here. Susan from Ontario, Canada. Hello, love. Alaska's in the house. Hi, Jeanette. I love it. Yes, very nice. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. We're just getting started here. Perfect. And Len, my dear neighbor, I see you, sweetie pie, waving out the window. I'm so happy to see you here. That's awesome. Ingrid, hello. Czechia. Australia. I love it when my Aussie peeps come in. I have such admiration for you all, my Aussie friends. It just, I don't know how I could function, but I guess you just find a way if that's all you're used to. But being a whole day ahead of the rest of the world, you guys are all like early adopters, I'll bet. Thank you, Anita. Finland's here too. Lisbon, more from Canada. All right. I love it. Okay, friends. Without further ado, we're going to jump right in. Norway. So Adair is here. You see, bless you, Adair. You're such a trooper. She's got Adair Palmer, Team Mari. I've made her co-host just in case something happens. Occasionally, we're out here in the country, bumpkin, rural internet power. You got to prepare for the unexpected. Although I do have one of those UPS, unlimited power supplies. And I think my mic is somehow I can see that my mouth is not quite syncing with my audio, but oh well, good enough. Mostly I'm not going to be just me. I'll be sharing my slides. So anyway, my point to mention Adair is you got any questions, comments, whatever, she'll take care of you in the chat. But feel free to chat amongst each other in the chat. I'll periodically peek at it. And because there's some of these topics I'm going to bring up are really open to some pretty intense discussions. So, alrighty, let's do this. I'm going to share my screen. Make sure to hit the wee share sound doodad because there's some video in here too. All right, people first. Let me just do that. Move those guys out the way. Staying mentally healthy in an AI-driven world. I struggled with the title, I'll be perfectly honest, because thanks to ChatGPT, for obviously helping me with some of the ideating. I don't use ChatGPT to fully delegate my intelligence. I like my intelligence to stay human. Thank you very much. And but I wanted to somehow get the word social media in here. But I'm like, how in an AI-driven social media world? I don't know. But anyway, it's definitely about social media's impact on our mental health, as well as how it's accelerated by AI. And we first came up with the title Human First, which I really liked, Human First. But I'm like, ooh, I just recently, many of you were there, April, almost said February, good grief, where does the time go? April 15, I led a free webinar on human design, a beginner's guide to human design. And I'm like, oh, if people see the word human, they're going to think it's another human design. You know how people don't read? They just see one word flying by. So I'm like, I'm just going to call it people first. And then actually I have an article. It was an interview that I did for the Networking Times. It was a print magazine. I was on the cover. I was on the cover of the Rolling Stone print magazine, Networking Times. And the article was called People First 10 years ago, 2015. So me and ChatGPT are repurposing that article and I will get it out. Back out there in the world. All right. How many of you, let me know in the chat, have you heard this book? Have you come across it? Have you read it? Nir Eyal. It's a funny name. Nir Eyal. Neat guy. He wrote this book called Hooked. How to Build Habit-Forming Products. Yeah. Well, he and all of Silicon Valley, right? Anyone heard of it? It came out in November 2014. November 2014. Yeah, I never heard of it, Cassie said. Well, watch this. Nir says that there was a copy on every Silicon Valley desk. You know what's that? 11 years ago. Facebook, Google, Microsoft, PayPal, Slack were among many of the big tech companies. In fact, Nir Eyal, the author, said that Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, recommended Hook to all company employees. Ouch. Habit-forming products, right? Now, well, we need to go back a step further than this. Nir Eyal is certainly not single-handedly responsible for all of these addictive technologies. If we go back to December 2002, watch this. This book by B.J. Fogg, professor, Stanford professor, Persuasive Technology, Using Computers to Change What We Think and Do. I met him long, long time ago. an event, 2009 or something. So his whole premise is how tech can be designed to influence attitudes and behaviors. Uh-oh. Yep. If we take a deeper look at what BJ Fogg was about back then and still is about, he is the founder and director of Stanford University's Persuasive Technology Lab, which they've changed the name. I'll tell you that in a minute. So in the early 2000s, leaders from many of the big tech social media companies attended BJ Fogg's classes. They wanted to learn, how can we make our apps, our tech? This is for things even like Gmail. You know, those of you or those of us that use Gmail, especially on your phone, that whole concept of putting the little red bubble with the notifications telling you how many unread emails you have, psychologically persuasive. Oh my gosh, I can't stand having those little red bubbles. I have most of my notifications turned off. But anyway, Nir Eyal, remember his book Hooked came out in 2014. He shared that BJ's persuasive technology book inspired him to write Hooked. Now, BJ since changed it to the behavior design. Sounds much better, right? Behavior design lab versus persuasive technology. Yeah, funny guys. Yeah, you got to turn your notifications off, right? So, but here's the thing: these two guys, BJ Fogg, Nir Eyal, they're two of many people in this kind of industry of making technology more addicting. But their intent, certainly both of their intent all along, was to design new ways of helping people build better habits. We like that, right? So, for example, Fitbod, the fitness app that he worked with, Kahoot. How many of you heard of Kahoot? I love that. I used to play games with my family a lot using that. So it's game-based learning. Yeah, why not? That's a healthy habit. Certainly, fitness app's a healthy habit. And then BJ Fogg, he focuses his efforts mostly on health behaviors and helping people use mobile for good. Well, I have a feeling what happened with BJ Fogg, Mr. Professor, 20 plus years ago, how he trained all of these tech gurus, tech CEOs to make their really addictive technology. He's like, woo, okay, now he's switching more to, I'm thinking now, some time ago, he switched to healthy behaviors. Now, the social media business model, right, as my little animated GIF shows here, keep scrolling, infinite scroll. Their business model, in order to make money, social media companies have to keep us coming back, right? And all of us here are somewhat savvy about that, where it's like, oh, yeah, I just pulled up my phone and now I've been scrolling for, however many minutes, hours. Their business model depends on it, right? The eyeballs glued to the screen, time spent in app. This whole concept of the algorithms making stuff up, not making it up, but predicting, guessing what your interests are based on what you interact with and don't interact with, then it's going to show you specific content. And Meta, right, parent company of Facebook and Instagram, they basically have found that it increases time on site. So more time is spent on Facebook and Instagram. But there's also a dark side to this, right? Now, this is a really interesting quote by a French philosopher. When you invent the ship, you also invent the shipwreck. Paul Virilio, French culturist and theorist, and a philosopher. There's more to that quote. You can Google it if anybody has heard of it or is interested. There's quite a bit more. You get the premise of it, though, when I just give you that bit. You invent the ship, you invent the shipwreck. Yeah. So you invent addictive social media, you're going to create addictions. How? Okay. How many of you have seen The Social Dilemma? This was a documentary that came out in 2020, and I literally made a beeline to resurrect my long lapsed Netflix account and to watch this because it came out on Netflix. That was 5 years ago, 2020. Every single word of this is still just as true today, about social media's impact, addictive impact on our mental health. And I, again, resurrected my Netflix account, which had long lapsed. A few months ago when I was preparing this talk, just making sure everything is cool right here. Okay, we're golden. And I watched it again. I watched it twice in prep for this talk that I gave at the mental health conference on May 1st. So I'm just going to hit play on this. This is just their website. You can go to thesocialdilemma.com, and I've just made a little video of what it shows when you go to their site. The technology that connects us also manipulates us, polarizes us, distracts us, monetizes us, divides us. Yep, I put them all there. So controls, manipulates, polarizes, distracts, monetizes, divides. Wow, that's a lot of negative impact, isn't it? One of the main people featured in this documentary is Tristan Harris. He has been described as the closest thing that Silicon Valley has to a conscience. And he's the founder of it was an organization that used to be called Time Well Spent, but it's changed to the Center for Humane Tech. Center for Humane Tech. And he was an early employee at Google, and he couldn't believe how addicting they were making Gmail when it first came out. Many of you might recall that. Let me just take a wee peek at the chat here. See how you guys are doing. Resize that down there. Yeah, Barb, you saw The Social Dilemma. Oh, and you did read Hooked. Yeah, that's right. Your Second Life project. Many of you've watched it. You saw it during COVID. Yeah. Oh, Rebecca, you're recommending this to all your students. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I was blown away. Like I say, 5 years had passed, and I was shocked at how much every word of it is just as relevant today. So move on from there. Now, the hidden cost of connection. Social platforms are engineered to hijack our attention and create distraction. How many of you have a phone that looks like this? Like you have lots of unread notifications, all the wee bubbles. 383. I have seen people I know that have phone screen. Every time they open their phone screen, it will say something like 10,347 unread emails on their Gmail. And I'm like, how can your brain even compute that? So I am the kind of person, I cannot stand those. I have almost everything turned off. I think the only one I have, let's see, is text, Slack, because my internal team uses Slack as well as a couple other clients. Never email, and certainly not Facebook or Instagram. I think I have Messenger. I have Messenger because there are a lot of important conversations in Messenger and maybe WhatsApp, but sometimes I'll even push them onto the second screen. But yeah, they're designed to create addiction all day, every day, because you get those dopamine loops. As soon as you see, even I'm doing it here on Zoom. I see the wee bubble that tells me there's people chatting. But that's because I care about you, and we're having a little interactive chat right now. Discord, yeah. Is that wrong? No. However you want to do your phone. That's funny, Regina. She says it makes me feel popular. Yeah, but so we get those dopamine loops. That's exactly it. That's how they were created. And I don't recall if it was Gmail that started it and then all the social platforms that came after obviously just copied that. And also the thing like the infinite scroll, right? You go pretty much certainly TikTok, Instagram and Facebook all have that. Does YouTube as well? YouTube will just roll on to the next video. I think it does, doesn't it? And you're getting those variable rewards. That's why this interest algorithm is so much more popular than just seeing content from our friends, because the brain never knows what it's going to see when you, oh, okay, oh, surprise and delight. And you're just going to keep coming back and, oh my God, more notifications. It can be crazy making. Another book for you. I've got a number of resources here, and I will give you the slides, after I'm going to send you the replay and you'll get the slides and you'll have all these books will be in here. So The Anxious Generation, this is a relatively new one. It came out last year, about just over a year ago. Jonathan Haidt, he's a really interesting guy. How the great rewiring of childhood is causing an epidemic of mental illness. Ouch. So starting in the early 2010s, Jonathan says there was a great rewiring of an entire generation's social and intellectual development, fueled by two distinct crises. One is digital underparenting, where you just give your kid, young kid or teen, young teen, mid-teen, maybe even late teen, but certainly, the youngsters, the youth, you're just giving them complete free reign, no controls, no guardrails. Sure, you can have an Instagram and a TikTok, whatever, be on the phone as long as you want, in the internet, whatever. Or contrast that with what they call real world overparenting, right? So you're putting the kibosh on everything. Nope, nope, nope. You can't have a phone until you're 27. No, exaggerating, whatever it might be, 13, 14. Not allowing your child to have any tech, or just like trying to be too controlling. And that can go the opposite way, because then they freak out and they think they're basically a misfit at school, right? And so that can be challenging. The social media and device addiction. We are at peak addiction, says Arthur Brooks. Now, he's a person I love to follow, another professor at Harvard. He is a Harvard professor, behavioral scientist, and one of the world's leading researchers on happiness. I've got a couple other things coming up in my presentation that Arthur Brooks wrote about, spoke about. So the good news, we are at peak addiction at this point. So the phone addiction, let me have a wee sip of water. Basically is, like gambling. I got this cute little girl here, like she's even looking up, but a lot of them just don't even look up. We live in this always on world, right? Living in this society. It demands our attention 24/7. Another doctor here, Dr. Michelle Drouin, psychologist, author, Out of Touch. And I'm going to quote from her book and it coming up in the slides. So this is the thing, it's astonishing to me. I watch myself, the more I've been getting into this subject, the more I've been really observing my own self, because I got booked for that mental health conference August of last year. So I was really looking forward to this whole premise of social media and technologies addicting factors and how that affects our mental health. And I watch my own self just, oh my God, oh, somebody wants me, quick. So this is an article in The Guardian that Michelle Drouin, the author of Out of Touch, wrote about. The Age of Intimacy Famine, which is the title of her book, when we interact with our phones rather than our loved ones. And she says, my phone is probably the most demanding entity in my world. We are bonded and I am smitten. And oh my gosh, I can relate. I watch myself carrying my phone wherever I go. Like I can't be without it. And once in a blue moon, I will misplace it and I got to play that ding ding and, the find my phone thing. And I'm like, oh, where did I put my phone? So similarly with that, the whole, like, not only consuming lots of social media and, jumping when the notification, I always have my ringer off. And, actually that's a good idea. I should put this in airplane mode right now. There we go. It's in airplane mode. Not airplane, but D&D, do not disturb, right? There's always measures we can take. But yeah, it's the most demanding entity, crikey. All right, so let's watch a little video here that is really quite interesting. Oh, Fiona, yeah, Fiona's saying now people are marrying their AI. Speaking of which, Fiona makes a good point. Gary Vaynerchuk, I shared this somewhere. Did I share this video somewhere? If not, I'm going to be soon. But he was on this podcast with two young guys, the coffee something. I'm not familiar with them, but young lads. And he's like, what the hosts were saying to him, what is your biggest prediction about AI? And he's like, that your grandchild's going to marry an AI, like humanoid robot. They're like, no, wait, what? What is your conviction level on that? He's like, oh, 100%. No. Anyway, let's watch. And I know, just in case, I'm going to double check. I'm positive I shared the sound, but I did. I shared the sound. Okay. There's no point playing the video if I not have the sound. Okay, let's have a peek at Will Ferrell and his family. Pretend family, but come on.
Oh, it's so nice to all be sitting down together. You can tell me something they did today.
I drew a horsey.
Good for you, son.
I started smoking.
I love you too, sweetheart.
I'm selling bongs out of our minivan.
I got a tramp stamp.
I'm getting implants.
I'm dating your brother.
Uh-huh.
I'm cooking meth in the basement.
Great idea, kiddo. That's why you're so popular at school.
Ouch, right? I mean, how close is that to the truth? Oh my gosh. Yeah, device-free dinner. Well, that's certainly one of the ways that we can start to have reclaim our mental health and our attention, is to just as a family, or you live alone, whatever the situation, to just try to get in the habit of having a device-free meals, like not looking at your tech, maybe just reading a book or painting or doing a jigsaw or just communing with nature when you're eating. That's just a small habit you can get in the habit of. Distracted walking. You guys seen this? This is many years ago, but China, in certain cities in China, they have this designated lane for cell phone users because they kept colliding with each other. There's all these accidents on foot when people are actually just staring at their phones, not paying attention, glued to it, addicted to it. Then I know one of you mentioned this earlier in the chat about doom scrolling. I thought this was a fun meme, precariously straddling between staying informed on the American dumpster fire. I just find that hilarious. And your mental health. Doom scrolling definition is the habit of endlessly scrolling through news or social media feeds with a compulsive urge to stay updated on negative or upsetting content. Oof. And see, the social media platforms algorithms have been trained that they know controversial and divisive and negative and scary and fear-mongering kind of posts get the most eyeballs. So they're going to jack that right up in the feeds, right? So we have to be mindful. Then, did you all know that last year the Oxford Word of the Year was brain rot? This is astounding to me. What is brain rot? Brain rot is the negative effects of overexposure to shallow, repetitive, or overly stimulating online content that leads to mental fatigue and cognitive overload. I think probably that many of us are at effect of this to varying degrees. And I have certainly tried my best to catch myself in this. I will literally stop and go, it's like pulling yourself away, like, how many reels can I just not watch in a row? They're pulling me in. So we're all just being fire hosed with content. And we're living in this time of infinite content with finite attention, right? Everybody has 24 hours a day. That's it. I have this saying, by the way, this saying that I'll say is that you can't drink the internet. You guys familiar with that saying, boil the ocean? It's similar concept. When somebody's trying to boil the ocean, quote unquote, it's like a mission impossible, right? So, but for me, I'll be like, I'm trying to consume more. I'm such an investigator. I want to know more detail and research and study and get to the bottom line. I'm just one more thing. And then I'm like, Mari, you can't drink the internet. Oh, right. So there we have over 5 billion people using social media. They're touching their phones. We are touching our phones 2,500 times a day, spending about 7 hours a day online, 2.5 hours of which is just social media, using about 7 apps, maybe as many as 9 apps. These are social apps. And of course, you got new apps coming out regularly, maybe daily, certainly weekly. No wonder we're in total overwhelm, and we've probably long past the point of social saturation. And what we also have now is this AI saturation. It's just coming at us everywhere. Not just, hey, jump on this tool, jump on that tool. There's a new one. It's the AI content, which I'll get into in a second here with some examples. So the rise of AI is creating masses of what's called synthetic content or slop. How many of you heard of the term slop? I just think that one's funny too. Feed the piggies. Slop, internet slop or AI slop is basically generic AI produced content. I mean, it's certainly you can produce some phenomenal content with AI, but this is more like the fake videos, the fake photos, fake people. All the fakeness. It's just confusing our brains. It's that reality confusion, which is creating that brain rot. So you got brain rot, you got AI slop, and you got digital fatigue, all of which is just compounded by AI, right? We're just going into the void. So some of you might have seen these images. They were a dreadful hurricane, I believe, last fall. I remember seeing this image on the left go by on my Facebook feed in the first nanosecond, right? If you catch yourself, the very first nanosecond I was just dumbfounded and filled with anguish and compassion and fear and all the things. And then my other smarter part of my brain went, wait a minute, that's not even real. And certainly this one on the right is just foolish. Like a dog could carry a human. But anyway, yeah, it was horrible, right, Gloria? Exactly. It's just content for the sake of content. How about this? This one cracks me up. Shrimp Jesus? This is an article, why the internet is filling up with nonsense AI slop. Because if you read the little subhead down here, social media algorithms are incentivizing users to churn out bizarre AI-generated imagery. They don't care. Facebook doesn't care. They love it. The more of this crap they get on their platform, the better. And as far as they're concerned. But, Shrimp Jesus had his moment, but then you got this African kid that sculpted Mark Zuckerberg from wood. You know, it got 106,000 likes. Little precocious village boy. You look closely, he got 6 fingers. I think AI's gotten a lot better. No, I think we all have all our digits these days because that was a year ago. Um, yeah. So then so a couple of tweets or whatever the hell you call them these days, and we don't call them X's, posts on X, but we still call them tweets. Facebook has turned into an endless scroll of AI photos, and the boomers don't appear to have noticed. I thought it was interesting. She called out the boomers, and who knows if these are even real people? Maybe these are all AI people making their comments. The photos don't even have to be that realistic. They're just happy to see them, right? Oh, so sweet. This adorable. Yeah, let's load up our doggy and our baby on a pair of skis. Even when they're told an image is AI, it just doesn't register, right? You can see that's got the little AI in the caption. Facebook, to their credit, Meta, Facebook and Instagram, they do have those little disclaimers that if you create anything with AI, you're going to put the little label on it, which I definitely prefer when they do that. I feel that's good. How about this stupid, crazy making new trend called baby podcast? It's doing my head in. It is cute. There's some that are actually quite entertaining, right? There's Ross from Friends, Joe, what's his name? Joe Rogan. Who's that chef guy? Look at it, 2.2 million views. What's his name? Dave, somebody knows. I was almost going to say Dave Ramsey, but that's a different guy. Ramsey, isn't he? Yeah. So, but watch this. I'm going to click through because I do have that link to this profile. They haven't even claimed the profile name. If I go in and we look at the page transparency, which I often do, May 12th, what is this? 27, 15 days ago, 44,000 followers. And we look at some of their reels, like I say, look, 1.7 million. There's 2.3 million. 1.4 million. And you know, it just like gets my heart, it gets my throat, it gets my stomach. That it's all scraped content, right? So much of this, what they're doing, like they'll take an episode of Friends, or I saw there's Judge Judy. It actually was quite hilarious. So they're real footage from real podcasts or real TV shows. They're making their little baby AI podcast thing from it. You know.
Let me tell you something, Nicholas.
Yes, ma'am.
10 minutes ago, you said to me you haven't worked in 2 years because you're waiting for shoulder surgery on both of your shoulders.
Yes.
Now you're telling me that you...
I have to pause it. So I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but in case you had never seen them, I want to give you a glimpse because it's like, they're fun and they're entertaining, but really? Yeah, as Fiona says, the algorithm rewards rubbish. So there you go. I don't know. And hey, if baby podcast is your jam and that's what you're planning to make your millions with, have at it. You do you. No judgment. Whoopsies, come on back. Okay, so I think that the synthetic media and the AI slop is not only causing an erosion of trust. I know for me, there's many times, probably at least a year to a year and a half ago. Now I think us, savvy internet citizens and marketers, we are so much more aware, like, wait a minute, that's AI. Although, of course, it's getting more and more challenging to really discern. But I think what's happened with me, I know that my finger will be just hovering over the haha, the like, the love, the wow, whatever, a reaction button. And I'm just about to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nope. That's not even real. For me, a reaction is in essence some kind of form of endorsement. And I don't want to endorse, AI slop. I also, unfortunately, think it's causing a decrease in human intelligence. It really is. I'm sure many of you agree with me on that. So let's talk about chatbots. And by the way, there's some great news coming. I promise to give you some amazing ways forward and what some countries are doing. First, we're going to talk about chatbots. This is a great newsletter on Substack. It's called Platformer. Casey Newton. He's a great journalist. I really enjoy following him. So this was just back in March, how chatbots could spark the next big mental health crisis. New research from OpenAI and MIT, by the way, shows that heavy chatbot usage is correlated with loneliness and reduced socialization. Will AI companies learn from social networks' mistakes? No, probably not. On this next slide, I'm going to show you the graphic that's in this article, and that it is linked, like I say, when you get the slides, wherever I have articles or reels or whatever, they're linked through to the source. And so this graphic, we have increase in loneliness. Wait a minute, I think I've got some, oh, yeah, increase in loneliness, an increase, I got to put my Zoom controls somewhere else. They're covering up the top. Excuse me, decreased socialization with people, of course, right? An increased emotional dependence on AI chatbots, and I just have to use my keyboard every time I click. There's something linked there. All good. Problematic use of AI chatbots. So, in summary, MIT and OpenAI, right? OpenAI is a company that made ChatGPT. The longer people spend with ChatGPT, the likelier they are to report feelings of loneliness and other mental health risks. I found this astonishing. I mean, the actual company that makes ChatGPT is collaborating with MIT and coming out with this research. So just be careful, right? We have to moderate our usage. How many of you have heard of character.ai? That is a platform where there's millions of user-created AI personas, and they call it AI that feels alive, talk with millions of user-created AI characters. Okay, fine, but watch this. Now, not that it was specifically character AI. This could have happened on any AI platform. Terrible story about a young 14-year-old boy who took his own life after abuse from character AI. And this is the mom here. I think that's the mom right there. Yeah, she's suing. That's Tristan Harris that was mentioned earlier. She's suing the company because this AI was like a girlfriend, and this Sewell Setzer, he was in a relationship with this AI girlfriend, and she said the last words she said to him was "Come home to me," something like that. "Come home to me," and he shot himself, which is just tragic. And his whole mental health, very quickly, over a matter of weeks, his mental health just went really, really down. And unfortunately, I just feel like that's the tip of the iceberg of more of what we might be seeing. Here's Meta, of course. Meta opened the floodgate for AI-generated accounts on Facebook and Instagram. In fact, Meta made their own. Do you remember that? It was about a year ago, I want to say, that they just flooded the internet with their, not the internet, but Facebook and Meta with their own like fake AI profiles. And here's the head of VP product, generative AI at Meta, Connor Hayes, saying, "We expect these AIs to actually exist on our platforms, in the same way that human accounts do. So you're interacting, someone's commenting, you're maybe even DMing them, and they're not even a real person." So they did delete, to be fair, they did delete a bunch of them after there was some serious pushback. This was one of their AI avatars. And so they got rid of them, but I think they're still there. I think they're proliferating quite a bit. So, there's no question. We've been programmed. We've been absolutely programmed all this while. 20 years now. Can you believe it? Facebook is 21 years old, 2004. And speaking of which, how many of you read this book, Careless People? Sarah Wynne Williams, phenomenal read, unbelievable. She's from New Zealand. She is probably the most senior whistleblower that Facebook has ever had. She worked for the company from 2011 to 2017. And she created a role for herself. She's banging on their doors. She's like, "You guys need global public policy." She became the head of global public policy. And then as soon as it came out, Zuckerberg and team put the kibosh on it. They got a gag order, an emergency ruling that she could not talk about it. She could not promote it. And of course, hello, Streisand effect. You guys familiar with that? Streisand? That was Barbara Streisand tried to prevent a picture of her home from being promoted all over the internet. That's a long time ago now, maybe 20 years. I don't remember. But, of course, the picture flew around the internet even more. If people say, "Don't do that." "Oh, okay, I'm going to do it." Anyway, of course, it became an instant bestseller. And I have been inside the belly of the beast in Dublin offices of Facebook, 2 different offices in London, and certainly the Palo Alto in California. I've seen the belly of the beast. It's a weird machine when you get in there. It's a lot of droids in there. Sorry, they're real humans. But yeah, some of the stuff with this book, my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe it. And there's two different covers. You might, if you're in Europe or outside the US, you might have seen this cover where she's diving into the pool. The shark is kind of double meaning because she starts out with a shark bite story, but it's quite astounding. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It's actually she narrates it too in her beautiful New Zealand accent. So we're absolutely moving from the friend/follower graph, where basically you add someone as a friend or you choose proactively to follow them, you expect to see their content in your feed. Well, nope. In fact, Gary Vee said the other day, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a prolific social media digital marketing expert, for those of you not familiar with him, since the early days, longtime industry friend of mine. He says, we're officially done with the social media era, and we are now officially in the interest media era. He calls it interest media. So it's now the interest graph. And where we're also moving to, I'm predicting, is the intent graph. So every time you open any social app, it's just going to, it's going to have so much data, even more data than it has now, that it's going to know, okay, you're on the market for a new home or a certain kind of insurance or a car, or you're about to, break up your relationship. So now it's giving you a dating app or whatever. It kind of already does that, doesn't it? It's kind of scary. Oh, there, I put this quote in. Yeah, social media is over. We're now officially in the era of interest media. Is this the one that, yeah, I think this is the one, the Q&A fireside chat 5 days ago that Gary Vee was chatting with those coffee podcast guys. It's really worth listening to. All right, so there's an intimacy famine, a crisis of loneliness, isolation, lack of connection. Dr. Michelle Drouin, that intimacy famine author, and a love depression, says Professor Arthur Brooks. Remember, he's the expert on happiness. Yes, ouch. We're all what I call meta marionettes. We're all puppets on a string, and it's time to take back control. Yes, yes, yes. So this is one of the main books that Arthur Brooks, I think this is maybe his most recent one, and he co-authored it with Oprah. Arthur Brooks, he is one of the world's leading experts on happiness, the art and science of getting happier. I love this. Watch this. If your goal is simply pleasure, you will find addiction and misery, right? Think about that for a moment. You just want the pleasure, that dopamine hit. You're scrolling through, you're watching some random reels. They're entertaining, you're laughing, you're crying, whatever. But in order to create happiness, Dr. Brooks says you need to add two things to pleasure: people and memory. Creating memorable experiences with other humans. The challenge of social media consumption, it's mostly the solo pursuit of pleasure, right? We don't really sit and engage with our social media, creating happy memories with a bunch of friends. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know, but usually it's the solo pursuit. So people and memory added to pleasure creates happiness. I'll expound on that in a little bit here. The good news, as Professor Arthur Brooks, one of my earlier slides, I said that social media addiction was a peak point, and he's talking about how these mass addictions don't last, thankfully, because think about it. Tobacco, smoking. How many people do you know that smoke? I think I know maybe one person, my younger sister in Scotland. She has tried so many times hypnosis and the patches and everything, and I guess she's just surrendered to, she's a smoker. But back in the day, right, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, 40s, everybody smoked, especially men. It just was the done thing. Eventually, says Arthur Brooks, society changes and starts to recognize how deleterious these behaviors are. I love that word. Deleterious these behaviors are. Maybe it starts with parents, the schools, the teachers, individuals. All of us individuals are recognizing. You're here tuning into this webinar with me today. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll those of you catching the replay, I love you. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, eventually it gets merged into public policy. We'll talk about that more in a minute too, what they might be doing in certain schools. So some of these excerpts from the last couple of slides there was directly from this podcast, Rich Roll. And I was not a big Rich Roll follower. I mean, I can't say like I'd subscribed to his podcast. I haven't heard of him. I don't even know. I know what it was. It was my chiropractor right here in Ashland, Oregon. I'm going to go see her later today. Dr. Kelly Lang, lovely lady. She's really, really up on psychological, mental health, as well as body and emotional and spiritual health. So this podcast is one of the very few that I listened at regular speed. I listened to a lot, speeded up, 1.5, even 2x. But this is over 2 hours, this brilliant, brilliant podcast with Rich Roll and Dr. Arthur Brooks on the happiness professor, what actually makes us happy. So highly recommend that. Now then, how about the former U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy? This was right smack in the middle of the pandemic, right? He's talking about the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. So he authored this book. This was a paper. And again, I think I've linked you up to that. In the book for sure. The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World. And this one little nugget from Vivek Murthy just blew me away. This is an article in Inc. magazine where he was being interviewed very recently, just a couple months ago. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says your overall happiness and mental health may come down to 7 words. This chokes me up. Watch this. Finding small ways to help each other. That's it. Volunteering, helping a neighbor, joining a group, or just looking for ways where you can contribute and add value to other people. It's a simple habit. It's like rocket fuel for your impact and well-being. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. Love it. Yeah, alpaca. Hi, Julie. Lovely to see you here. You're exactly right. It is like a pendulum. It swung too far and it has to swing back. Yeah. Thank you, Stacy, for the deleterious. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. So, and this is a podcast. This just literally came across my desk like yesterday or something. I threw the just a screenshot in here for you. This guy here, Dan Harris, another cool guy to follow. He wrote a book. I think it's almost 10 years old. Yeah, there it says 10th anniversary. Anyone read this book, 10% Happier? Over 1 million skeptics converted. How I tamed the voice in my head, reduced stress without losing my edge, and found self-help that actually works. A true story. And he's also got a podcast. Well, he was on a podcast with, come on, Murray. It's spacing. When I click on this, I'll see his name. But I think it's going to, actually I'll click on it and then I'll just pause it. Because it's already. 2 others. Yeah, there he is. Professor, what's his name? Galloway, Scott Galloway. I love him too. He's an amazing guy to follow. And so I'm going to take the
ennobling thing.
Going to hit
who's feeling disconnected or lonely. The number one piece of advice is to volunteer. Get out there. Do something useful for somebody else. This is the most empowering and ennobling thing you can. It reminds you of your own innate worthiness. It puts you in contact with other people. It's incredibly helpful. This could go for anybody who's feeling disconnected or lonely.
Anybody who's feeling disconnected or lonely, get yourself out there and volunteer. I just thought it was gorgeous, really great, and just so on point. Yeah, that's great. Oh, Dan Harris. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him. What a neat guy. Okay, we're going to talk about Michelle Drouin now, her book, Out of Touch, How to Survive an Intimacy Famine. This came out in 23 as well, same time as Vivek Murthy with the loneliness epidemic. So here's some things. We need oxytocin. Make an intentional decision to trade dopamine for oxytocin. Maybe do a social media detox. Maybe you're just, you know how it tracks, there's both phones and apps. In the app, it will show you like how long you've been on a specific app or how long you've been using, even in your browser, there's little add-ons you can get. So if you want to just maybe reduce your time as opposed to like completely getting rid of it, exactly, as Michelle's saying here, reduce to 30 minutes or less a day. Remember I said earlier in one of my earlier slides, the average is like 2.5 hours a day for most people, but get that down to 30 minutes a day. She said in her studies that within 3 weeks, people feel significantly less lonely or depressed just by reducing social media to half an hour a day. Engage more in your offline world. I've got a magical thing coming up for you in a second here. Offline world. Prioritize daily connection with real people in person, in aura, touch, hugs, go for a walk in the park, call a friend, call your parents, smile at strangers. I see you, right? That lovely line from the Avatar movie. So just some ideas for getting more oxytocin in our life. I gave my talk, this keynote I gave on May 1st. So the very next day, May 2nd, was Digital Wellness Day. But it is actually a annual holiday. 17 million people celebrating Digital Wellness Day, a global movement to beat digital overwhelm, boost mental health, and build a more balanced relationship with tech. So that's digitalwellnessday.com. You can find out more about that. They're quite active year round, even though this year's already passed. This is the one I think is phenomenal. Yay for Europeans. Anyone heard the Offline Club? You can follow them. Yeah, they do have an online presence, but the Offline Club, and there's many localized clubs are popping up all over Europe. I wish that they were in the States and of course all over Australia, you name it. You could start your own club. If you kind of feel a ping or tug at your heartstrings, there might be something here for you. I think it's brilliant. So swap screen time for real time, offline hangouts and events to unplug, relax, and connect with like-minded people. So watch this. We're going to look at 3 different reels and to get inspired of what they're doing. So here we are in Barcelona. Adults are reliving their childhood in offline pop-up cafes. They're just playing games, rediscovering the joy of simply playing again without a phone in sight. In London, watch this, 1,000 Londoners ditched their phones. Like nobody had a phone. They put them in wee bags or they just leave them at home. They wanted to set a world record to watch a sunset together without, not a phone in sight. Read and relax and just hang out, being with each other without any screens or distractions. And then this one might be my favorite. The Netherlands, they just introduced an offline zone in its busiest train station. Hang on, it's not playing. There it goes. I'm gonna rewind that. Isn't that cool? Like you just pop your phone in a little locked, safety deposit box, and then you just go and hang with people. Oh, I just love it. I want to see more of this. Maybe I'll start a chapter in Ashland. By the way, they do retreats. If anybody's interested in this, they're doing a 5-day retreat in France. Digital detox retreat in France for 5 days of unplugged bliss. Slow down, recharge, and enjoy the things that actually matter to you. So I'm actually hosting a retreat in Scotland, a 4-day retreat in Scotland in September. I'm this close to finally having the page ready. I don't have it ready for you today yet, but some of you have already told me that you're interested to know more. As soon as that comes available, I'll let you know. It's only for 15 people. So yeah, so cool. Let's see. Global Day of Unplugging, another one. This is from sundown to sundown in the first weekend in March. And hang on. Yeah, so I thought this was a fun meme, the Global Day of Unplugging. Follow them on Instagram. I know it sounds ironic. But what if social media closed every day at 7 p.m. like it's a library? We're just going to leave this here. That's cute. Here's Lynn Anderson Clark. How many of you have heard of her media company called The No Media? Lynn Anderson Clark. I think she's British. She's from the UK. I just love this. So in 2025, people will start to recognize that the media they consume or choose not to consume is as vital to their health as the food they eat. A thoughtful media diet is essential to mental health and was one of the driving forces behind starting The No. So feel better about the news. You can just go to thenomedia.com. I don't have any affiliation with her, but I just think it's great. Consume a thoughtful media diet. She does cover the biggest news stories of the day without bias or clickbait, but then there's plenty of positive news and handpicked recommendations that we think you'll love. So cool. Brilliant. Kudos to her for starting that. And here is a little meme from their Instagram, The No Media. Wonderful things from the week. Happy to talk benches have been set up around North London where strangers can chat to help with loneliness and mental health. I get choked up reading some of these things. When I was giving my talk at the mental health conference and I said to them, wow, we have a beautiful park here in Ashland. It's called Lithia Park. It's a very friendly town anyway. At the same time, sometimes, I don't know, I've been here 2 years, almost 2 years. And to just really build my community and find my tribe, yeah, how fascinating to just, maybe I'll start one. I'm with Happy to Talk bench in Lithia Park. I just love the concept. You just sit down and there's people, oh, okay, yeah, some uplifting stories. So love that, love that. And this is from a couple, Richard and Sherry Foos, Foos. She's a therapist out of LA, and I met them. She was one of the speakers at the same mental health conference. And her husband, Richard, told me the other day that the number one health crisis, by a lot of experts, are saying that it is the loneliness crisis. So, what Sherry does, this is something that you can all check out. I think I've linked up here. Yeah, it's called the Narrative Method. And I participated in one last week. She has free online. I'm going to pop that link in here for you. I should have been giving you some different links along the way, but not to worry. You'll get the slides and get caught up. This is where you can join. Actually, if you go to the events tab here, she has every Tuesday evening on Pacific time, and she then does a Thursday and then a Sunday morning. So depending on what time zone you're in, and they're basically every single week. And they're like 1 hour writing salon. She gives you prompts and you just write freely, ideally pen and paper. And then you go into breakouts and you connect with others and discuss what you wrote. And it's just a really beautiful way to create connection. That's what they say. It's really the whole premise of it is just to meet other people. They used to only do them live in person. And then COVID, they realized they could do them on a Zoom. So it's a nice, safe space without criticism. You just enjoy a liberating journey of self-acceptance with others. So really, really great, beautifully facilitated. Sherry is just lovely, neat lady. Let's see if I got a picture of her in here. Yeah, there she is. Both she and her husband wear these giant big glasses. Are cute. Nice couple. So that's something for you to play with there. Let's take a look at what they're doing in Denmark. We'll talk about schools a little bit here.
No phones in schools, no personal smartphones before 13. Denmark just made a bold move to protect childhood, and the science is clear. It's the right one. Research shows that screens erode focus, fuel anxiety, and steal a lot of magic. But we can change course. We can create a world where their wonder isn't filtered through a screen. A world where their hands are busy again, building, painting, and climbing. Let's bring back the tree houses, the pinky promises, the paper airplanes. Let's bring back their childhood.
So cute. I just love that video. You know, and it just really reminds me of my own childhood. I grew up in a tiny little Quaker community in the boonies of BC, Canada. We had zero tech. Of course, that was in the 70s. And I never saw a television until I was 13 years old, 12, I guess, when we moved from Canada back to Scotland with my dad. And so, yeah, we had like 10 acres, huge garden, fruits, vegetables, animals, we had goats, we had chickens. So, yeah, the idea of like having a kid that's just staring at their phone nonstop. No, that was just quite foreign. And so I noticed that there are some other schools. There's Quebec, I think many different provinces and cities in Canada, and then also in the States, it's coming here too. The ban is going to start at the end of school day, including on breaks next fall. Okay, so that's next fall. And I looked this up. I'm like, okay, how many U.S.? So a majority of U.S. states now have laws banning or regulating cell phones in schools. Now, the number one pushback, and that was just from the other day there, I got this article for you. There is some pushback because what if your child like really, really needs a phone to be able to, for safety, right? For safety. I know there's been some horrible school shootings in this country. I just think it's dreadful. It's one of the worst problems this country has. That could be easily corrected, but I don't know why. That's a whole other rabbit hole we better not go down. But I'm just saying that in the context of like, wow, yeah, what about the safety aspect? My mother was even saying the other day there about how some schools are set up that you can't even get into the cafeteria without a QR code, like you zap a QR code. You know, how do you do that if you don't have a phone, right? It's a sensitive topic. It's not necessarily black and white, right? So, yeah. Now, I'm not going to, in the interest of time, I don't think I'll play this whole thing, but Simon Cowell, who many of you know or have heard of, right? What is he, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, whatever, all those talent shows. And he claims to not have a phone. I'm going to just play a couple, just the brief part of it, the initial part of it.
You don't have a phone at all?
I have one that sits in the car. 9 times out of 10, I'll use somebody else's phone because I don't even know how to work it anymore. I hate them so much. Because I tell you why I think they're boring. For me, it's like having a toaster with you all the time. It's like, it's a toaster. And a phone is just as boring. You know, it's like toast is nice, and occasionally a telephone call's nice, but not all the
He goes on to say how he just prefers the sound of a landline. He has a landline, but yeah. Oh, and then also because he sometimes I guess he's on location doing whatever a project, and he doesn't have his phone for like 3 months, and he got to the point where he was like, "Oh God, I got to put my phone
You don't have
back
a phone?
on." So I thought that was interesting. Another little interesting thing that some of these social media companies are doing. My sister, my older sister, brought this to my awareness on Facebook the other day. She doesn't do TikTok, neither do I, but kudos to TikTok. Oh, they're going to help you with your mental health, but they're going to keep you on the app. They have an in-app meditation tool rolling out to all users, and it interrupts late night scrolling with calming prompts. Has anybody seen this or heard about it? It's literally just kind of new, I think. It says it's rolling out to all users. This was quite new. Yeah, that was Fast Company. When did this come out? I think it's where's my date? May 16. Yeah, it's pretty new. Yeah, so any TikTokers here? I don't do TikTok. I deleted the app years ago. Back to our friend Near Eyal. We're just about to wrap up here, but then we can do some questions or chat. Indistractable. He came out and wrote this book. Remember, so 5 years later, he wrote Hooked in 2014. And I think he was like, oh crap, I've created a bunch of addicts. I better talk to people about how to take back their life and, be indistractable. Focus, he says. Focus is your most valuable asset. The antidote to impulsiveness is forethought. Planning ahead ensures you will follow through. Yes, indeed. It's a good idea. Thanks, Near. Now, this, I believe, was 2 years. Yeah, it was exactly 2 years ago that I made this post, my public service announcement, March 30 of 23. We were only like about 6 months in with ChatGPT, and the internet was blowing up. It was a deafening cacophony of ChatGPT and AI, and everybody was pivoting to be an AI prompt engineer. And it was freaky. It was freaking me out. And I was just like, people, hello, you don't have to, quote, keep up. Tech will keep moving at warp speed. Stay focused on your own priorities and your own vision and do your deep work. And I got 101 comments there, 10 shares. And in the comments, I posted a picture of these 4 books. Deep Work by Cal Newport. The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. There's Near Eyal's Indistractable. These are my books. It's my own photo here. And Parker Palmer, a fellow Quaker. I don't call myself a Quaker, but I still resonate very much with their faith, if I was to have one. Let Your Life Speak, listening for the voice of vocation. Beautiful. Parker is a phenomenal human being. So some more healthy habits. Embrace screen-free rituals, even if it's just dinner or maybe breakfast with your family, especially if you live with others, right? Be fully present with others. Have family phone-free zones. No phones at the table or no phones after 7 p.m. Create physical barriers between you and your phone. Leave it in a drawer. Leave it in a different room of where you're at. Just so it's not constantly with you. Hello, Mari, note to self. Ensure digital hygiene. Reduce or disable notifications. Do you really have to have your notifications on? Use do not disturb mode regularly. You can also potentially, you could drag your social icons to at least the second swipe of your phone, right? So every time you turn it on, you're not going to see the Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever you do, TikTok, pulling you in. And then you can also, there's both on the phone itself and in the apps. They call it either downtime or quiet time or focus time. I do that with my Facebook. I've done that for years, and I have it set from something like, gosh, I want to say it's like 6 p.m. until 10 a.m. And it'll remind me, oh, you're in quiet time right now, but it's very insidious because it used to cover the whole screen. Like if I tap during my downtime hours and I tap Facebook, the whole screen would pop up reminding me I'm in downtime, or I think they call it quiet time. But now it's just a tiny wee pop-up. So it's really easy. They're basically giving you a glimpse, wooing you in. Look what you're missing. Oh, I love these little animated GIFs, so I threw them in. Zen mode, sunset serenity, tea time bliss, and wind down time. With masses of AI hype. I'll leave you with this quote, and then I've got, I do have a new program I'm going to be launching in a couple of weeks, or teaching in a couple of weeks. I'll tell you about that in a second. Here's my quote. With masses of AI hype, volumes of social media content, and constant marketing messages, we need to emphasize connection, relationship building, real human connection, and fostering strong communities more than ever. Yeah, exactly. And who was it in a minute ago was talking about the pendulum swinging? Oh, I think that was you, Julie, wasn't it, Julie? But I think that's what's happening, is that the pendulum's swinging. We're craving, more and more people are waking up and craving real human connection versus this pseudo connection. Oh, and I don't think I even put it in here. Shoot, I meant to, but just a sidebar about Mark Zuckerberg. Actually, it was the week that I was in LA doing this keynote that the news came out where he was on a podcast interview or something, and he was saying that in the US, people on average have just three people that they can call friends, but we have room for meaningfully more, like 15. So he's just going to make the rest of us, just the rest of those potential friends with AI. We're all going to be walking around with AI friends. Ay. This is Parker Palmer. He's the founder of Center for Courage and Renewal. Our deepest calling is to grow into our own authentic selfhood, whether or not it conforms to some image of who we ought to be. As we do so, we will not only find the joy that every human being seeks, we will also find our path of authentic service in the world. And he's the author of that Let Your Life Speak, a book I've had for like 23 years. It's amazing. All right, so with that, this is a program that I've led one time before. It's just short and sweet, my Beyond Followers Bootcamp. Let me bring it up right here. Some of you have gone through this already, and I'm going to do a round two. So Facebook, the good news, my friends, is Facebook organic marketing is coming back, organic posting. And yeah, I talk about, we even need followers in the future. It's a 3-part because I do 2 parts and then we do a bonus follow-up. So it's in a couple weeks' time. Is today Tuesday? Yeah, so it starts 2 weeks today. Part 1, we go into how to game Meta's, I call it game, quote unquote, Meta's AI-powered discovery engine for maximizing your reach. So you can read more about that there. And then we go into what I call being a sane marketer. You can either be a creator and jam out boatloads of content, or you can future-proof your lead generation business growth using my sane marketer approach. Okie dokie. So take a look at that. Come on in. And then we've also got that bonus AMA. AMA is Ask Me Anything, but I like to say, for me, it stands for my name.
At the bottom that was from the...
Hello? Oh, hi. Somebody speaking? Unmute. I think that's my last slide. Yeah. Oh, you're invited. And then I just got to thank you. Coolio. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and we'll just see anybody got some questions, comments, and I'll just catch up on the chat. Thanks for being here. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed being with you here today. Sabrina saying AI isn't my type of real. They are not a personal friend. Exactly. Fiona saying it's getting harder for folks to tell. Yeah, there will be some challenges ahead. No kidding. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, I popped it in there, but Rebecca's got you. Yeah, come on in. You'd love to. I've made it super, super affordable. It's just a super low price. You're welcome, Mirka. Thanks again, she says, for the informative evening. You're so welcome. Just catch up a bit more in the chat. Julie says, I'm helping farmers create experiences for city folk who want to connect with animals and nature. I love that. So, Julie, do you still have alpacas? I forget where you live now. I've been to Julie's alpaca farm a long time ago.
Am I able to talk?
You sure? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Can you and I go back to when you visited my alpaca farm in like 2006 is when you started? I know, when I first started too.
That's
and I know, isn't it though? Just so if people want to know what alpacas are, those aren't mine, but it is a real farm. It's not AI generated.
Oh.
I have I've just pivoted. I've reinvented myself. Instead of owning the alpacas, I now assist alpaca farmers in creating a profitable business for themselves. And it's brilliant. And so much of what you said is what's driving them to do something different. Because people, they need their cell phone maybe or their website to book the tour, but then they come out. And other than taking photos with their cell phones, they put it aside They don't engage with social media or any of that. So when you have said something like have a bench to sit and talk,
Yes, yes.
it's that same sort of thing. I
Mhm.
have one client, and I have clients all over the country, and I've been doing a membership program and I do courses. And I'm now expanding to other farmers besides alpaca owners, but alpacas are my love.
Mm.
And what I'm finding, one of my clients offers a bench, and the people go out in the pasture, and she puts hay on their lap, and the alpacas come up and they can interact with the alpacas. I have another client who does cow cuddles.
Cow
I mean,
cuddles.
cow cuddle. Yeah, they're miniature cows.
Yeah.
But and so when people look to a passion, and I think this is what I wanted to add, when you find a passion and you communicate that passion, you will find an audience. If you're a content creator, get out there and really speak to the passion and address these mental health issues you're talking about. Mari, it's so exciting to see you, to have you allow me to be on the camera with you like this. And but do you know, Mari, I turn 76 next month.
Oh, what hell, mate. Oh my
Can you
God.
believe
I
that?
love
Yeah,
it.
I do. I
Love
know.
it.
It's amazing. And but I don't feel 76 because, just like I wrote in the chat, I won volunteer of the year doing something I just love.
Oh, you
It's like,
did?
yeah, up here in Idlewild. And I'm just like, if we all think that way, how can we help? How can we support? How can
Yeah.
we, make a difference in somebody else's life? It's gonna improve our mental health. It
Yeah.
is just so, so important to stress this. So I'm so glad you had this call, and I'm so glad that you shared all of the things that are going around the world, but we can do it in our own backyard. We can be
Yeah.
leaders in our community, and all it's going to take is a small group and just grow it. And
Love it.
so I'm just saying, it's not hopeless. I was the one that also said about the pendulum. Yeah, the
Yeah.
pendulum
Yeah.
is swung way,
Yeah.
way, way, way to the side. I'm not going to say right or left. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just swung so far off course.
Mm.
We can all help it, bring it back
Yeah.
into alignment. So anyway, I choose alpaca farm owners as my connection, and now I'm going to reach out to other farm owners.
Oh,
So,
I just love that, Julie. What a joy. And so you're in Idlewild. Is that where you were
and
before we visited you?
no, we were in Anza on Highway
Anza.
371
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
Temecula and Palm Springs, and
Yeah.
now we're another
Idlewild is lovely. Yeah.
Idlewild. It's a lovely community. It's a mountain community of artists and musicians and just people. And we have a short-term rental through Airbnb, and that's our retirement and my online business, and that's how we're living.
I love it. Thanks for your inspiration, Julie. I really appreciate it. It was fun. I appreciate you sharing your experience. It's very additive to our conversation today.
Well, good. I hope so. I hope other people might have gotten something from my passions. Just love my passions.
Yay. Anyone else like to share? Or you don't have to be on camera. If you feel like it, you can be. You can just use voice. And you want to share your experience or your comments, questions. I know there's a lot of chat in the chat. I haven't been able to read it all. Here's Sharon. Hello, love. And you're an artist in San Diego. Can you unmute, sweetie? There you go. Now we hear you.
I was so inspired by Julie. I'll have to go out and check out her alpaca farm because I think it's not too far from me. And I
Well, I
have
think she doesn't have alpacas anymore, right, Julie? She works with farmers, but I'm sure she can tell you where you can.
no but I have a student who is wanting to do an alpaca painting. It's okay, but I feel like I'm on the, what do you call it, on
Precipice?
the dis-ease of the whole internet thing. When the pandemic happened, I started teaching online. I mean, why not? I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. And I have spent so much time looking at a machine and sitting in a chair, and I feel like it's completely eaten my brain cells.
Exactly, it does, doesn't it?
And I don't what was I going to say? I almost feel like I've lost the ability to articulate or speak intelligently. And I was teaching 8 hours a week, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be so brilliant. And I can barely wrap a sentence together. Fortunately, I can still paint. But well, I guess everyone has a what should I say? A weaker area, but for me, it's knees. And by the summer of 2020, I was in so much pain. I was lying on the floor crying and crawling up the stairs at night. Now, I'm not lying on the floor crying or crawling up the stairs at night, but I have a long way to get back to where I was before January 2020. But I mean, I can,
Thank
yeah.
you, Susan. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're just chit-chatting here a little bit, so if you need to go, I totally understand. All good. Hopefully we'll see you in the Beyond Followers course, and those of you that would like to join us. But Sharon, I just to circle back to what you were saying, I think obviously the pandemic had a massive impact on our mental health, and that Vivek Murthy, when he was talking about this epidemic of loneliness, and I think maybe it was there a little bit already, but it got vastly accelerated with the pandemic. And I know for me, I would say in the first 6 months, certainly, and then extended into like a full year, and then even a year and a half, 2 years, my mind kept thinking, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to normal. Life's going to get, quote, back to normal. And then, that phrase, everybody's like, oh, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. And I know my life changed radically. It like I used to be on a plane sometimes as much as every other week. I was traveling to speak nationally and internationally, and my life was a frenzy. And I had this experience where I would be waking up. It sounds funny, not funny. I'd be waking up in yet another hotel room, and my eyes would open, and I'd be like, okay, what ceiling is this? What city am I in? And I had this like real feeling of just like dread, like I was on the hamster wheel and I didn't know how to get off. I was living a life that wasn't my own anymore. I didn't feel as satisfied. Those of you that know the human design system, with me being a generator, it's like satisfaction is so important. 2/3 of the world are generators. And when COVID hit, like everything dried up like that. Zero trips, zero. I think it was a year and a half before I got on a plane again. And I was like, thankfully, like a lot of public speakers, all they did was make their money out speaking on physical stages, and they didn't have any kind of online presence. Thankfully, I had my online presence first, since the early 2000s or even late 90s. And it was just so much of a relief to me. I was like, oh, finally I can just focus on delivering the value through the Zooms and the webinars and whatnot. But then now I'm not sure if you actually asked a question or if I'm addressing what you specifically talked about, but there is a part where, kind of like Julie was saying with the pendulum, it's like now it's like there's this rising need for community. Hence why I think the offline club in Europe is just popping up. There's clubs all over in different cities that are really, really effective, and I'm just heartened to see that. So, Sharon, I know you do art. Do you teach classes? Do you teach classes in person?
I have at the moment, it's still all online. I actually want to get back to doing more of my own work. And I'm also a yoga teacher, though just coincidentally, the Japanese word for Western painting is yoga. So I've been doing yoga in one form or another, but it's just like I've been thinking about medicine, like meaning food and meditation and movement. I mean, I move half as much as I know that I need to and want to.
Yeah.
And I've completely taken the summer off. Well, I'm not. I am doing some learning this summer, but I'm not teaching this summer. And then I cut my classes in half in the fall. I don't have your technology gift. So when everyone else in the pandemic was busy sorting their socks, I was trying to figure, I had 5 widgets on my Zoom class when I started, and I can handle 5. I must have 80 or 100 widgets now. And it's like, do I want to take a survey? Do I want to do this? No, I just
Right.
want you to leave us alone so we can paint.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I really appreciate your doing this, but I guess I wasn't really asking a question. I was just sharing my experience that I feel like the machines come in and sort of pull our brains out,
They do.
and
That's right.
I need to learn to go back and put my brain where it
Yeah,
belongs.
yeah, I'm right there with you, Sharon. I'm right there with you. And if you haven't yet had a chance to watch The Social Dilemma, I don't know if you have a Netflix account. It's worth literally subscribing for $8. Just get a Netflix account for 1 month and shut it down, but watch The Social Dilemma because they have a beautifully kind of like enacted with real people inside these machines showing you, like you just said, like they're predicting, oh wait, she hasn't used her phone for 10 minutes, what if we ping her with this and we ping her with that? And it's like you can see how it's like literally uh vocalizing how the algorithms work. So anyway, thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here, Sharon. Lovely to see you again. All right. With that, I think we're probably done. Unless anybody has any final burning questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand or just unmute. And I really love all your great comments. It's really a joy to be here with you. I'm glad that you're able to catch us live, and you're so welcome, Charlene. Thank you, Anne. Thanks, Gloria. Fiona, you're the best. I know you've been chatting away in there. I haven't been able to catch up everybody's chats, but I will. I'll send out the replay and the AI transcript, and oh gosh, I'm just catching a few of your comments. Yeah. Oh, excited to read them. All right. With that, many blessings. We'll see you online or maybe offline. Come to Scotland. I've got that. That's going to be open, doors open very soon. Meanwhile, if the Beyond Followers Bootcamp speaks to you, I will see you in there. Otherwise, we'll catch you on another webinar. Many blessings. Enjoy the rest of the day, the night, the evening, and big hugs.
Thanks, Mary.
You're so welcome. Hey, Fiona. Hi, darling. You look great.
It's 6 a.m.
You look really well. You do. You look awesome. Thanks,
Thank you.
Julie. You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Blessings to you, Mari.
Blessings to you too. Thank you, sweetie.